PTR Radio.
Spectacular group of men. You go find them, you throw your arms around them, you give them a big kiss on the mouth.
This is PTR Radio.
All right, welcome everybody to PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. Now, Mike, if I did everything right, the toy might work for you tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Means I might actually have to do something. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like it's working. Okay.
Okay. I had to open up 3 firewalls, but I finally got it working. All right, so before we get too far along and talk about what's coming up on the show, if you saw our latest note that just went out a little bit ago on Facebook, we're bookending the show with one normal thing and one very abnormal thing. We discussed on our last show that we haven't challenged ourselves recently. And, it was the little Nitro, the hottest gummy bear in the world, was shot down. Satan's toe was shot down. Mike brought up some hot sauce. That was shot down. So we settled on something that Colin thinks will be flavorful and good to eat. The 2 times spicy chicken-flavored ramen. So we all have played Julia Childs, and we have our bowl of ramen in front of us. Now, the only thing I haven't done, because you have to show like the garnish, right, whenever you're doing a cooking show. So the only thing I haven't done is, man, they did a crap job of this perforation, is take these chili flakes or whatever.
Oh, it's not just chili flakes.
It's bad, but I accidentally dropped it on the floor and my dog started to come, my very geriatric dog, and I said, you don't want any part of this, I'm sure. Oh, that looks bad. Yeah, that definitely does not add to the appeal of the sauce or the consistency.
So I think there's sesame seeds, and I think this is actually, I don't know if it's pepper flakes or if it's like shredded nori, like seaweed.
Oh, I'd be okay with those. Any of those things are not hot. I don't remember anything in the ocean being hot. So, but we've all kind of prepared in our own way, I think, for what this challenge is going to bring to us.
Yeah, I did nothing.
I've been doing yoga, and some deep breathing exercises. So
I got everybody else out of the house just in case.
Yeah, see, my problem is today was my work from home day. Tomorrow I have to go to work. And that's when the pain could come.
I made sure that I have a fresh package of Cottonelle wipes in the bathroom ready to go.
All right.
And
so
tucks. I know where the tucks are.
I installed a new bidet seat on the toilet.
You both are more well prepared in those areas than I am. All right. So I said let's just dig in. And sorry for the dead air. And normally we don't eat on the air, but I think this is the one time where we're supposed to. So
I'm going to mute my microphone temporarily because since I have the microphone right there by my mouth, I don't think y'all need to hear me slurping on noodles.
Well, and you probably don't want to get it in your mic. Oh, that's hot. That's hot already. That is, as they say in Italy, that's a spicy meatball. And it's not
it was okay until I swallowed. Like when you're just chewing it, it's not that bad.
No,
but as soon as I swallow, oh God, the air got to it.
That's why you have to keep eating.
Take your advice here, Colin.
I hate myself. This was a horrible idea. If this is what this is like, I'm so glad you guys talked me out of Little Nitro, because this is, this is not fun. But we're doing this for the listeners.
Why the hell was I stupid enough to wear a sweatshirt? That's going to be coming off real soon.
No, I changed to another shirt because I figured I'd be wearing half of this.
Somebody want to tell me why in the hell we didn't do this in the middle of winter?
I don't know. I don't
Right
know.
idea was to do this.
My office is like 73 right now, and it feels like 100. Oh, okay, yeah, warm.
Keep going.
Oh, man. It's not. I mean, there's some pain. Don't get me wrong. It could be worse though. I mean, you get to a point where once it's burned off your tongue, it really doesn't matter too much. So, but yeah.
Is there a prize for whoever finishes first?
No.
Because I'll put this whole bowl in my mouth right now.
Oh. I really don't advise that. I don't know that I'm going to be hungry for real dinner after this, though. Oh. Didn't you say there's a 3X spicy?
I keep hearing Sean Evans in my head. Careful around the eyes.
Yeah. This is.
Oh, yeah, my eyes are tearing.
I'm not. Yeah, surprisingly, but it is warm. There's the nose.
The closer I get to the bottom of the bowl, there's more sauce on the bottom of the bowl.
Yeah.
This is not fun.
Oh, I stirred it all in the frying pan where I fried it, so mine was all equally.
This is
ridiculous, man.
this is you know, this was an idea.
It wasn't crap.
It was.
Your idea.
You know, it was. Well, you know, I have the good news is we each have. Well, at least I know I have four more packages of this. So.
So do
Oh,
I.
me too.
Oh, it's going to people I hate.
No, I rather liked it. I'll finish them off this week.
It wouldn't be so bad, I think, if you cut the sauce down. Like, if you didn't use the whole packet of sauce, I tried to get every last drop of the sauce. I think if you kind of cut the sauce back a little.
The noodles were just regular. I mean, they were just. It's not like they were pepper infused or anything. Oh, come on, power.
That's a good thing. A very good thing that we talked you out of the gummy bear there, Shaggy. You might have died.
I'm prepared. I'll show you what I've done. I got a system. I got a good system.
Careful around the eyes.
Yeah, that's why the back of my wrist is okay.
Who didn't change their fire alarm or smoke detector battery before the show?
It's not me. I think, Colin, you have a bird, right?
It's parakeets.
That's a bird. Parakeet's
That's what
a bird.
it is. Okay. Are you sure?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's like 2 mouthfuls left, and I can't bring myself to do it.
I know. I got the same.
Oh, aren't you? You know what? You're in a house by yourself. It's not fair.
All right. Oh. Okay. Now, remediation strategies. Oh.
Your lips are very red, so I would say make sure you get your lips cleaned off there. Shaggy.
Oh.
I am going to have to step away after this because I'm going to go, as the only one with facial hair, I'm going to go make sure I wash this stuff out of my beard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so this was step 1. So I got oyster crackers. That's like step 2.
My wife thinks we're stupid for doing this stuff, by the way.
Mine too. Oh my God. All right. Cracker's not working. All right, ice water. Ice water. That's step 3.
Oh my God.
Better. Still not great. All right, last one. Vanilla ice cream.
Alan was raised in a spicy household. You know, I used to be able to handle spice a lot more until I became an old man.
I feel like peak fat kid right now. Don't care. Don't care.
Now, I will say, these were kind of tasty. There's a lot of heat, but there was flavorful heat.
Yeah.
So that's why I said maybe if I use half as much sauce with the amount of noodles, it might not be as bad.
Well, ice cream dipping sauce.
Right, I'm going to go wash my. I'll be back.
Yep.
You do.
I'm put my ice cream back in the freezer. Colin, do a Colin show for a bit.
Let's see. To make it not the call-in show, I guess I'll have to talk the entire time. So you can see Shaggy does have his Ukrainian flag. I think he talked about that last time, but had not been delivered yet. So later on the show, we actually have 2 more movies, one of which I didn't really watch, and the other one I thought was pretty good. So it's a preview of what the other 2 will learn later. This is milk, by the way. I also had a bag of queso flavored Ruffles, which are slightly hot. I figured just a little bit extra heat to go along with the heat. That made sense to me.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Oh.
So I'm not a huge lover of extra super hot stuff, but, well, if I'm out of salsa, I will just use a bottle of Cholula and just put it on tortilla chips like salsa. That's good.
Yeah. Well, it was warm. It was definitely warm. Was it, it was pretty warm. Uh-huh. Puppy dog. Dog doesn't know what to do. Has never seen man on fire before.
Dog was looking at him like, oh, he's going to smell that bowl and be like,
Yeah.
I did consider going with the sight gag of grabbing a bag of those ghost pepper chips that we had, that Mike and I had, and eating those after it, just because that'd be funny. But I decided, yes, it would have been funny, but it would have been stupid. So
I thought about just putting a couple of drops of red food coloring in it, in the regular noodles. But nope, I brought it up, so I was going to do it. So we hope everybody enjoyed that. That's going to have to be clipped and just as a separate entry in our YouTube channel. But
go ahead, laugh at my pain. Laugh at our pain. That's what we're here for.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And in case anyone's wondering, yeah, I did grab an ice cube out of the freezer on the way down.
I grabbed 2 more ciders. So,
and I have a feeling that this is like going to be the gift that keeps on giving, because I kind of feel like warm now. So I am very afraid for what's going to happen later.
my lips are just tingly, and
Kim says to me
warm.
when I told her about this, she's like, when we were talking about it yesterday, she's like, so does that mean you're not going to eat? I said, oh no, I am not doing this on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
I made sure that I had something in my stomach before it came on.
Yeah.
The more I talk, the more my mouth burns.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, maybe we should have reversed it. We should have done double feature movie review first, ended with this.
But the noodles would have been cold then. And
Yeah, true.
That would have been.
It would have been bad. So, all right. Anyway, getting into the white sheet a bit, because there's plenty of news. Hey, look, my Ukrainian flag.
Wait until I see that.
Yeah, wait till it comes.
Wait until it comes out the other end. Yeah, no joke, no joke. We all gonna die. We'll have a link to this product up on our Facebook page if anybody wants to try this.
Yeah. You know,
I will say it's okay. I've had better noodles which are also hot.
Yep.
They're no Shin Black. I'll say that. Those are much better noodles.
my wife asked me what I was going to do with the other 4 packages. I'm like, well, I'm going to give them to the family. I'm like, my daughter, her boyfriend, and our other 2 sons. They deserve this. I'm like, that's the way that this works. So,
Mine get eaten by my nephews because, well, that's pretty much what they eat anyway.
yeah. So, like I said, lots of stuff going on in the world today. But you know, let's see here. We're going to go back to the beginning. So, Elon Musk. Let's talk about him real quick first, because, you know, if he's not inventing flamethrowers or boring tunnels underneath Los Angeles, or, you know, shooting his business partners into space, saying it's just an empty spacesuit attached to a Tesla, you know, car, then now evidently he has challenged Vladimir Putin to a fight for Ukraine.
And apparently he had a second child.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a second,
So, like,
second child with. He had more children before that too, but that's the second child.
with Grimes.
Yeah.
So,
But they're now divorced, and she's with a woman, I believe.
I have no idea. Well, she's non-binary, so
Yeah.
whatever. So Elon Musk. So this is like becoming. This literally is, I think, how Robot Jocks the plot started.
Well, what's interesting
Where
is I thought
leaders would actually like physically fight for territories, and you know, this is how Musk's empire is going to grow.
Yeah, that's how he'll own the Russian Federation, you know, and then he'll just expand. But I thought this was a crazy idea at first. But then I did some reading on the article, and I guess Musk is a fairly competent fighter.
With a name like Elon.
You know, I guess well, according to reports, he actually beat one of the world's top sumo wrestlers. And it wasn't just a here, I'll pay you to get out of the ring. You know, he actually said it was a cost of smashing a disc in his neck that caused him back pain for 7 years, but he wanted to win. You know, is just a supervillain waiting for a volcano lair.
But so here's the thing, though, because it's one thing for Elon Musk just to write yet another stupid thing on Twitter. You know?
Yeah.
That's what he does in between building the world's greatest rockets and trying to figure, you know, doing whatever he does at Tesla. You know, he gets bored and he goes on Twitter and writes stupid things.
Yeah.
Great. The reply he got from a different president of a different, you know, Russia-aligned country, though. A leader of one of the other ones said, "Oh, Elon, you should think a bit more about that because he's, you know, basically this long screed about how Putin is basically Walker, Texas Ranger."
Yeah. Well, I mean,
just goes on and on and on.
He has rode a unicorn. So,
yeah,
you know.
basically, it was basically Putin is just the greatest human. You know, a human being who will kill you with the fingernail of his little finger. And just like, he's just going, okay, it's one thing for Elon Musk to be writing stupid things on Twitter like this. But this is the president of an actual country doing stupid things on Twitter in reaction to stupid things on Twitter. Yeah, so it's going, what is going on right
there's
now?
a lot of presidents and ex-presidents of countries that say stupid things on Twitter. I mean, if you want to be completely
I was going to say.
You know,
Well, used to.
I mean, sometimes they build their own social media platforms to continue to say stupid things. I'm not looking at anybody in particular. You know, I hear there's one in China. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And he really wants to be my pen pal. He keeps trying.
I think when you get to a certain level of fame, now, pretty much everybody in the world knows who Elon Musk is, right?
Yep.
You could say he's international celebrity. When you get to a certain level of fame, I think you really need to, in the public eye at least, stay out of politics of any nation.
Oh, that's an unpopular opinion, Mike.
I don't care.
I mean, look at our level of fame. You know, should we bow out of politics and not give them our political view? I mean, other than we have said we're going to do that. I
mean, to some extent, I speak about local politics here in Jersey because I am the only Jersey person on. But when it comes to national, I try to bow away. I try to stay away from it. And usually, if I'm talking about it, it's because I am extremely, extremely upset about something.
Well, speaking of that, I don't know how close Tom's River is to you, Mike.
It's about an hour away.
Okay, so it's kind of local. I mean, it's
local south by the shore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's by the shore. That might explain this. Why there have been 3 UFO reports in the last 6 months in Toms River, New Jersey.
Yeah, I was actually a little shocked when this popped up. I was over at a friend's house and it popped up. I was like, what in the actual hell? Toms River? UFOs? Well, I'm going to say there are Toms River is where a lot of cops and firemen and ex-military, it seems to be a town where they all go to retire. Because it's a shore town. They've got canals where they can have their big speedboats, and they don't have lawns to maintain because their front yard is all rocks, which they can conveniently throw at glass houses.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going on. And then I think about it. I wonder if these reports were all from like the same cluster of people that maybe are all cultivating the same strain of a specific drug.
Could be. Maybe bath salts are making a reemergence in Toms River.
It's possible.
I mean, if they can turn you into a face-eating zombie, they could probably make you see UFOs.
Yeah.
I mean, it is odd, but it's not like it's uncommon. I mean, we see UFO sightings everywhere, and there have been a lot of them throughout history, but it's just interesting that 3 of them happen, close to your neck of the woods within 6 months, and so, and no ET yet. No ET.
Well, listen, it could be worse, all right? So now we've got the whole gamut when it comes to aliens, right? We could have ET, have xenomorphs, could have resident alien.
Yep.
We could have Cthulhu. Am I saying that right?
Cthulhu?
Was Cthulhu an alien? Cthulhu,
No,
was
he
that an
wasn't
alien?
An alien. No.
No. Okay, we could have the aliens from Battleship
Yep.
or Battle Los Angeles.
Martians.
Or there's a whole bunch Martians.
Mm-hmm.
The Independence Day aliens. I mean, look, there's a whole gamut, and not many of them are Freddy. What was it? Mac and Me. You got that alien.
Ugly guy. Yep. Ugly E.T.
So there's there's the whole gamut. Aliens are not necessarily friendly, but I got a funny feeling. Look, they're driving by and they're like, y'all stupid. We're leaving.
We're the trailer park of the universe. That's what we are.
Oh, we really are.
Yeah.
I truly believe that now. I truly believe that. There is no reason any alien would want to stay or come and stay, or even kidnapping, abducting us. You don't hear about alien abductions anymore. You want to know why? Because they're fed up with us.
Well, they're done checking out the back hole, and so there's nothing new to explore. So but yeah, I think Stephen Hawking, I believe, actually said that aliens visiting us would be the worst thing to ever happen, or contacting aliens would be one of the worst things to ever happen to the human species. Because we would would just be overrun. Because any civilization advanced enough to communicate to us or to reach us would easily overrun us.
Yes, absolutely.
So.
So Tom's River, not surprised. There are other sections a little more south that I would expect. Maybe the aliens were actually looking for Atlantic City, so they could gamble. I don't know.
I think the same thing. I think there's some places in Illinois where I think, alien sightings totally gonna happen there. Aliens gonna visit there? No, but alien sightings are going to occur. Yep, that's gonna happen. It's just it's just crazy. So,
all right. So right above it in the white sheet. Let's talk about this one here because I was thinking about this. McDonald's and Starbucks, right? So apparently there's like an Uncle Bopke's or something that is a ripoff of McDonald's.
Well, this all started.
Right.
Well, some of this all started with due to the Ukraine, the Russian war with Ukraine. All right, McDonald's, Starbucks, and other entities have left or have ceased operations within Russia. All right. Hollywood said they're not going to get any of the blockbuster films. Like I said, McDonald's pulled out, Starbucks pulled out. A bunch of things have ceased operation. Not everything, but a lot of things. In fact, so much so that the Russian government is thinking about legalizing piracy, online piracy, so that people can still download Hollywood films and get their entertainment. Now that's a bit of a stretch for them because that would expose the citizens to non-government controlled media. So they're still weighing that one. But because of the exodus of popular chains, they have basically said that they're not going to enforce intellectual property copyright law against foreign entities. So those like McDonald's or Starbucks or anyone else. So they're basically becoming China, where copyright law means nothing.
Okay, so they have, instead of IKEA, they have Idea Furniture Factory.
Yep.
Instead of Instagram, they have Rustagram. As in
probably
Russian.
Roostagram. Probably
Roostagram. Instarius, which I guess is
Instarus.
Why aren't you reading these?
I don't know. And then we have Starbucks, BUCKS. McDonald's, which is just McDonald's. They didn't change anything there.
So they have this is the one that I said was like
Yeah,
Uncle. It's the McDonald's M on the side, so it looks like a B.
Yeah, they should have just changed it to like McDonald's or whatever it was from
McDowell's.
Coming to America. You know,
McDowell's.
McDowell's. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, I'm sure
why?
that we could probably think of others that they should have.
Yeah, but if they've already decided to negate the protection in the first place, then why not just call it IKEA and McDonald's?
Well,
So this brings me back to I couldn't think of it at first, but it just dawned on me what it was. So the whole piracy and anti-piracy and all that. You guys remember all of MP3.com?
oh yeah, yeah, I do.
Okay.
I
So-
won't say that I used it, but I used it for a little bit.
Well,
it was like a penny a meg or something to download songs.
it was like, yeah, basically you could get an entire album for like $1.
Yeah,
And it was you could get it in like Ogg Vorbis, which was much better quality at a smaller file size at the time.
it's like total lossless.
Right?
Yeah,
So yeah, they charge by the volume you download, not by the individual song. That's what they did, and it was based in Russia up until 2007.
yep.
Now the whole reason they stopped, or the Russian government took action against them, was not because they felt it was illegal, but because they were afraid that it would jeopardize their membership in the World Trade Organization. So the Russian government stepped in, and basically in exchange for shutting down all of MP3, Russia got the United States support to become a member of the World Trade Organization. This was back in like 2006, 2007.
June of 2007. They announced that they were closed for maintenance, while the Times Online reported that an unnamed person claiming to be an ex-employee told them it was closed down following pressure from the Russian government. Yep.
And I mean, this was the shiznit, right? So now, but that made me think, like, do they even care? To Colin's point, the only thing I can think of is one way or another, this war is going to end. And when it's over, do they want to even try to stop? I mean, there's one thing to be a copycat. There's another to actually use the intellectual property.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the smart money is, that they're looking longer term, just in case kind of thing.
Maybe, yeah. I will say, I'm not sure anybody is really looking at any kind of short or long term. They're just kind of reacting.
Well,
As it stands right now, Russia is just getting so disconnected from the rest of the world.
Yeah, I heard.
They're becoming super gigantically large North Korea.
Yeah, I heard that
And-
the ruble is basically nothing right now. It is essentially
Outside
useless
of Russia, yeah.
Outside of Russia, you know.
well, and here's the other thing. So it's not just like companies pulling out. So I know like Netflix stopped streaming.
Yeah. Meta was
I'm trying to-
declared. The company Meta, which used to be Facebook, has been declared an enemy of the state.
Right, and that's why Instagram and Facebook are no longer.
Yep.
Yeah. But WhatsApp is still available for whatever reason.
Well, they
Isn't
have a
WhatsApp-
backdoor encryption key to that, so that's okay.
No, the court that declared the rest of Facebook is not allowed specifically said that they can still use WhatsApp, which is also a Meta.
Oh, all right. I didn't realize. That's how out of the loop I am. That I didn't realize that Meta owned WhatsApp now.
So Estee Lauder, IKEA, Spotify, H&M, Disney, Warner Brothers, Canada Goose, Expedia, Adidas, ExxonMobil, Harley Davidson, General Motors, truck manufacturers Volvo and Daimler, Chrysler, BP, Apple, Norway's energy group Equinor, Norges Bank Investment Management, which is evidently the largest sovereign wealth fund in Norway, LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton, Kering, Hermes, Chanel, Identix, which is another fashion brand, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Netflix, TikTok, Burberry, Puma, Prada, PwC, KPMG, Airbnb, Lego, IBM, Levi, McDonald's, Unilever, Coca-Cola, Starbucks, PepsiCo, Bumble. Oh, Bumble, that's got to be a shock to those people. Amazon Web Services, Heineken, KFC, Papa John's, Nestle, Philip Morris, 3M, Goldman Sachs, Uniqlo, and Dutch Bank. Those are all companies.
Oh, Uniqlo finally pulled out, huh? Because at first they said they weren't going to.
Yeah.
So the other thing that is worth noting here is a lot of data centers and hosting centers providers, they've started to pull out. So there are reports out there that are saying that Russia has 2 months left before it runs out of data storage for its government and internal needs, because all of these other Western cloud providers have pulled out of the company, or out of the country rather.
Yeah. According to TechCrunch, tech giants Amazon, Google, and Microsoft have all decided, as of the time of press, to halt cloud sales in Russia.
But a lot of the hard drives are made in China, and China will probably still ship them to Russia. So,
so that's what they were saying was, as far as hardware is concerned, Huawei, which has been sanctioned in the U.S. and wasn't allowed to sell hardware and what have you. Supposedly, they have a larger, large inventory that they could begin to sell off.
According to this article, it also looks like the Russian government is considering seizing IT servers and storage that have been abandoned by cloud providers that have pulled out of the country. So if you haven't taken your hardware with you, the government may take it instead.
Yeah. I think like Microsoft, for example, never had their own data centers in Russia, but they did have a third party that was running something for them. But okay, so here's the point I was getting to, though, is that at this point, Russia is so disconnected that even if this was all resolved tomorrow, it's going to be years before they can get fully back up where they're supposed to. So here's a example of the problems that they're running into. So most of the Boeing jets, which are used by the Russian airlines, and they had lots of Boeing jets, and whatever they're making, but they're foreign jets. They're owned by leasing companies. So Russia has basically nationalized those planes.
Yep.
But now they're in a situation where they're cut off from Boeing. Boeing's not giving them parts. Boeing is not giving them tech services. So those planes are very quickly going to go past their certifications. And at that point, they're boat anchors. No one is going to want to touch those planes because they have not been kept up to the standards of Boeing. And we just had one fall out of the sky in China, and that's the one that was certified.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even if they come back,
just Boeing, Airbus has come back and said that they're doing the same thing, that they're suspending service support to Russian airlines. I don't know if there's any other major airlines.
Yeah, and the leasing companies are never going to want to let their jets fly back into Russia again. They're not going to do business with those Russian airlines. So the Russian airlines are basically at this point defunct.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all kinds of problems with what's going on now. And, but we don't get into we don't we try to keep it a little bit on the lighter side of the news, and this is getting down that hole of things that are not great. But one thing everybody's talking about right now is the price of gas. Because of a lot of issues, people are saying, hey, the price of gas is going through the roof, right? How can we afford to keep paying for this for gas? Well, the Klarna app has an answer for people at participating Chevron and Texaco gas stations. And I see that the original app, the original article is down, but the answer is it's a buy now, pay later, but not in a credit card sense. This is installment payments, which might as well be a credit card, really, when you think about it, for your gas. So at
Klarna basically lets you break up. It's almost like pay in four, right? I think PayPal offers that one where instead of paying everything up front, you can make one payment every week or every 2 weeks. At which point, most people would have to fill up again anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many people are only filling up once a month? So,
hell, I'm even doing twice a month.
And we just never mind. I was going to get into another topic. I'm not going to get into that one. We're going to talk about this.
Oh.
So, I mean, when are you going to have to start putting gas on layaway?
Well, here's the other issue, right? And this is towing that political line, but I'm not saying it's just politicians doing this. Colin and I kind of had a discussion about this in Slack, and I think my annoyance is the politicians here in Jersey, instead of saying gas prices are out of hand, this is what we're going to do to help fix them, they're saying gas prices are out of hand. If we had moved to electric vehicles faster, we wouldn't care. And my response to that was, if we all had magic, if magic was real, I could use a carpet to get to where I got to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you can wish in one hand and crap in the other. Guess which one's going to get filled up first here, Mr. Politician?
Yeah. That's
where I got annoyed. I am not disagreeing with moving towards renewable energy. And Colin, you made up a very good point as well. If Ford was able to make an F-250 that had the range and the towing of the gasoline equivalent, that would probably sell like hotcakes. They probably wouldn't be able to make them fast enough.
Yeah, well, the point I was making was the F-150 has a hybrid version. It is an extremely popular version of the F-150 because last year when Texas had their huge freeze where they lost power and stuff, there was all these stories of people running their houses off their trucks because an F-150 hybrid has a power generator in it that is plenty of power to run a house off of. So what I want an F-250, 350 hybrid that has that power generation capability and can pull a big trailer. We've been looking at a lot of campers, and what we've discovered is F-150s, the typical half-ton truck, they can't really tow that well.
No, they can't. They can't.
You have to get to the bigger trucks to get that towing capacity. And like a Class C camper, a truck that's been turned into a big camper, those are usually like an E450, E350, that kind of class. And if you can make one of those a hybrid so that your big camper has a giant lithium battery in it that can use the gasoline engine of the vehicle as its generator, that just sounds wonderful. So that's the bright side of all of this is if gas prices go up, then that helps the scale of getting a bunch of hybrids out there. And that's all to the good. But to say that if we
It
all
also
had
drives the price of those F-250s and F-350s down because nobody wants them. So you might be able to get it for as long in advance.
But the thing is, I don't know about where you are, Mike. Here where we are, our power plant is primarily running off of natural gas now. It used to be coal, but a lot of it's natural gas. Well, natural gas prices are going to go up just as much as anything else does. So if we all had just electric vehicles, then that would just mean that the price would go up.
Yeah.
So I know New Jersey, I believe New Jersey has 1 or 2 nuclear plants. I don't know if they're both still active. I think one was decommissioned. Indian River, I think, was decommissioned. They're putting in a whole crap ton of the offshore wind farm, bird killer turbine things. And I don't know about the rest. I know there's a lot of, I see, they're called, only because I see the letters on the side, they're cogeneration plants. And I always thought, basically, they burned garbage and used that to make electricity. That's what I thought it was. I could be wrong. So they're getting rid of waste, or they're recycling, or they're doing something. That I don't think anything is coal. That I can tell you. Natural gas, possibly, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I was honestly thinking about, because my car hasn't had the back seats up in probably a year. All right. The back seats have been laid down that long. And I've only owned it for about 2.5 years. Because I'm usually hauling a ladder with me, no matter where I go and what I do. And, tubs of tools or parts or whatever. So my car is treated like a truck most of the time. But in reality, I don't want a truck because I don't want to have to worry about putting a cab, a topper on it, or any of that stuff. Plus, I don't want to be asked to move furniture. All right? So my answer to that is an SUV, but SUVs get bad gas mileage. So I've actually been looking at like the Honda Hybrid CR-V, which gets like 40 miles to the gallon, which is actually better than what my Accord gets right now. So in looking at my next vehicle, that's kind of what I'm looking at, is going SUV but hybrid, so that I don't hurt my gas mileage any. If anything, it's a net, zero difference, or I'm better off. And I get the kind of load capacity that I want. So I went from the Tahoe, which was getting, I'm only going to talk city miles because I really didn't do a whole lot of highway driving, but city I was getting maybe 14 miles to the gallon. To the Explorer, that city I was getting 19.5. Now I've got the Expedition, I'm getting 18.2 city because I baby the hell out of it. But see, the big SUV, the Expedition, is the compromise between the pickup and the little SUV, because you still can't haul a lot of big stuff in it, but it's big enough that you can. Yep, exactly.
And I will say the Santa Fe Hybrid, the new one, is really nice. In fact, the salesman told me between the gas and the hybrid actually has everything is much better specs.
Yeah,
torque, acceleration, mileage, all of that.
I just got really burned out on the Hyundais after I put in 2 transmissions. So,
And Colin just left. He'll be back.
He said he would be right back. So,
okay, that's fine.
I would assume a dog needed to go out. Not that,
Probably.
hot ramen coursed through him that fast.
It could happen. I feel it. I feel it just sitting there in my stomach.
Oh, I'm taking some antacids before I go to bed tonight.
I don't think I'm going to sleep too well tonight.
Acid reflux is real.
That's okay. That's okay. Has a dog.
Colin has a dog. Colin has a little chihuahua.
We're not exactly sure what Gilbert is.
Well, Gilbert is a dog. I can tell you that. I can see him.
Definitely part chi.
Either that or he's the ugliest cat I've ever seen.
We think he's part Chihuahua, part Rat Terrier.
Okay.
He has no teeth.
I would go 100% dog. If he is like 50% dolphin, I would be very surprised. But, you could throw him in a pool and find out, I guess. I don't know. How does he do with a ball? Does he balance it on his nose? Maybe he's part seal.
So,
does he sing Kiss from a Rose? I mean, that could go too. He could still be part seal.
It's possible. It's not very often, except when we talk about Disney and Colin's trips there. It's not very often that we have any praise for Florida. In fact, a lot of times we're making fun of Florida for all of the Florida man stories that seem to pop up on the news, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, I don't know the last time we said, and now good news coming out of Florida. So it just doesn't happen.
I finally have one that is debatably, they finally got something right. And they have a bill that is headed to the governor's desk, which I'm pretty sure he's going to sign because DeSantis is.
No, wait a second.
Is that kind of guy?
I'm gonna preface this by saying it's also very rarely we say good things coming out of the Florida school district.
Even better. So good things out of Florida. Good things out of the Florida school district. You've got maybe a point about that big.
Yeah.
Of where those two circles intersect, and we're going to hit it right now. They have a bill that would require high school students to take a financial literacy class, a class that teaches them about personal finances, how to pay bills, how to balance a checkbook, all of these basic things that we had to do before technology and would have to do again if the internet were to go away.
Honestly,
we saw what was the show? Revolution. We all saw it.
Yeah.
We could be back in the Stone Age any minute.
Well, the thing is, I actually did have a class that taught me how to balance a checkbook. And
it's a required class in Illinois.
It was a required class. But what they didn't teach you about was forbearance on a student loan or, interest rates, really, or mortgage loans, or, how to make sure you had all your documentation for getting, the little star version of your driver's license, or, how to go to a damn job interview and not wear a death metal T-shirt. So let's expand this class's curriculum a little bit and call it how to not be a fuck knuckle.
Yeah, because one of the things they did teach is how to balance a checkbook, which is what Mike just said, and nobody does that anymore. That is not a thing.
You don't need it. You have online banking. I don't need to know how to write on a check.
You need to understand the whole process, right? Because whether or not you log on and see the statement, or you look on the app or what have you, you need to understand what happens when you make that e-payment. How does that all calculate?
What you need to know though is, do you have enough money in your checking account to write the check? That's what you need to know, and then you need to know, hey, if I buy this $1,500 laptop on my credit card and I can't pay that thing off before the next bill, how much more than $1,500 is that laptop really going to cost me? Don't ask me why I came up with that exact scenario right now. I'm not going to tell you the details of my financial life, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, that could be a scenario somebody could get themselves into right now. And they could wonder why a $200 VCR suddenly was an $800 VCR.
Okay.
Not that they're buying VCRs anymore.
It could teach you examples of, okay, you're buying your first house. Do you, A, the house is $200,000. Do you, A, get a mortgage for $200,000? B, get a mortgage for $225,000? Or C, none of the above?
Well, the answer is none of the above because you're a damn barista at Starbucks and you can't afford a $200,000 house.
See, this is the kind of thing they didn't tell me about when we bought a house. Like, get your mortgage for a little bit more. This way you have money to buy appliances and furniture and all that other shit you need when you get a house.
But Mike, you remember your first house? You had milk crates for furniture.
Hello, this is my first house.
And cinder blocks. Well, you remember your first apartment.
My first apartment, listen, I went out and I bought furniture without measuring. And in an 800 square foot apartment, I had full-size furniture in my living room. I had a space this far between the corner of my chair and the corner of the couch that I could sneak through to get to the chair at my computer desk that was crammed in the corner. For the 2 years I was in my apartment, I had my upright dresser in the closet because there was no room for it with the bed and the chest of drawers in the bedroom.
So you're saying we should teach measuring as well.
That should be another one.
Yeah.
Home economics should be a class.
Leaving the nest, maybe, so that you don't come back. Maybe something that says, hey, by the time you're 24, you should be out of your parents' house and not come back.
Or you should be paying some rent.
I'm very,
I'm sorry. I forgot we had Colin here. I really, honestly, I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. But, yeah.
No, but see, there's a difference here, okay? All right? There's a difference between the high school student who
Colin's
graduates high school and never leaves, okay?
Yeah.
Look.
Colin is a live-in, like, dog walker, house watcher for when his parents go out, like, every month on vacation.
Colin has a job.
Yeah.
Colin has a job.
Yeah.
Colin is fully capable of living on his own, and he will survive. He will thrive.
And
Colin is not.
Colin could bring bitches
He is
home
not the
and
guy.
it'd be okay.
He is not the guy who, at 30 years old, has never lived alone.
That's true.
That is a problem.
And when they turned the electricity off, he was mad. He was mad when they turned the electricity off by accident. And it wasn't because he didn't pay the bill. It's because they don't know the difference between north and south.
No. It was because the house used to be split into apartments.
Ah, okay.
And so the the apartment B's power was being turned off. And I'm like, there is no apartment B. It is house.
I know we've talked about this before, but it was funny as hell. We go grab some lunch, go to his house to eat because it's just down the street from work, and they turn off the power, and he is pissed. I have never heard Colin say MFer so much.
I might pay to hear Colin drop some MFers.
The best part of that story is I was very calm. I went downtown. Mike, our power plant is actually owned by the city. It's a municipal power plant.
Okay.
So I went downtown and I got my number. They called my number. And I said, "Yeah, they turned my power off." And the woman looks at her computer. She looks at me. Says, "And then the number?" Yeah. They turned your power off? Yeah, they turned my power off.
No, I came here because I feel like effing with you. That's why.
She was like, "Okay, we'll get that turned back on right now." It was back on by the time I got home. That was they got someone right out there.
All right. So
yeah,
while we're talking about funny stories, I got one off the white sheet here for you.
Mm-hmm.
We have somewhat neighbors from hell behind us. I may have talked about how they have the kids that are very undisciplined and decide they have this whole 100-foot deep yard and they have to play by our fence so it aggravates our dogs. Well, the other day it was nice and warm out. We had all the windows open. Kim and I are sitting in the living room, which is in the front of the house, away from it, and we're hearing these kids screaming while we're sitting in the living room trying to eat and watch television. I'm like, this is insane. I put my dinner down. I go out the back to drain water off the pool cover. This way it doesn't seem as conspicuous that I'm out there. Like, what are these kids doing? They're running by the fence, just screaming top of their lungs, bloody murder. And I don't realize how loud I said it, but I was just like, seriously? Then I hear from the yard, from the other side of the bushes, Little kid. Seriously? Shut up, old man. I walked over to so I looked around the bushes and I was like, oh, really now? And I hear the mom yelling at him. I don't want to. Stop it. I told you stay away from the fence. I don't want to hear her mouth. It ain't her. I told you not to bother those dogs. It ain't the dogs either. Oh, I was so mad. I was so mad. I come in, I tell Kim this, and she's like mad, but she's laughing at the same time. Because,
yeah.
Right? This is the first time in 13 years that the kid's mother, 27 years old, kid's mother came and knocked on our door to apologize. I have never been. So I told you that story to tell you this story, which if you're not friends with me on Facebook, and, well, you probably aren't because I don't accept people I don't know.
I don't accept people I do know.
Kim's in the basement, and she needs something. I'm upstairs. She needs something. And she says, hey, old man. Oh, this better not become a thing, woman. Let me tell you something right now. She's trying to call me old man. Meanwhile, she's 4 hours older.
Yeah, I was going to comment, but I couldn't remember who was older and by how much. But, yeah.
4 hours, yes.
So, Mike,
they're arguing with I'm arguing with a 4 or 5 year old autistic child, and now all of a sudden I feel like I'm that neighbor now. I'm the get off my lawn neighbor.
So, Mike, do you want something that makes you feel younger?
Of course.
More vibrant? More energized?
Better not be some other spicy ramen. What you got?
So more alive, let's say. Give a little bit more
Starting to scare me.
punch. So I have on my Facebook feed for a while has been like the dance video thing, like the YouTube video dancing thing, the couples dance night. But now all of a sudden, I guess because they've been bombarding me with that ad for so long, they have now started to bombard me with another ad called
this stupid thing that you posted up, the Adventure Challenge?
Yeah, the Adventure Challenge ad.
Shaggy, I don't know. I went back and tried to watch this thing a second time. And the first time I started watching it, I flat out said, I'm going to have to watch this after a drink or two, because I started watching it like while I was logging on and checking my email in the morning. I said, one cup of coffee has me want to say very mean things about these people. I went back later on to watch this, and I have never watched a YouTube video and wanted to throat punch somebody so bad. These two, this is the absolute worst. No, absolutely not. No.
Well, we don't have to watch the video.
Challenge stupid. The people are just. We decided that we were going to challenge each other, and the first challenge is we're going to buy each other outfits. I felt like I was watching a Mad TV sketch here. Like, are you seriously that dull? And he's all along for the ride with his beard, just like, yeah, we're going to do this, honey.
Well, what's
okay,
interesting
the wonderful
is
Doug.
This is not like the only ad for this thing that I have had, and there are some very, there's weird ass ads, all right, for this. So I'm going to show you some of the images they use to advertise this, and it'll give you an idea of some of the challenges that they want you to do. So this is Bake Night, all right.
That is not the same couple.
No, it's not. It's not. The couple I sent you the YouTube video of, they were just showing you what their experience was. Well, that's definitely not the same thing. But anyway, let me see if I can find another one. There was what was this one? So yeah, there was one about here, let me do this, and we'll do this, and so here we are. We're just eating steak. Everything's happy. It's a no phone rule. You know, everybody's cool. Everybody's having fun. And then a timer goes off. And this is called the Mr. and Mrs. Smith adventure, where every time you hit them with the Nerf gun, it like strip poker. You know, if you've ever seen the movie.
It's ironic that you don't see any animals in that video. I'd love to try and do that when you have dogs and or cats in the house.
Yeah, and there's no children either, obviously, because that is often when you need these types of things, is once you've had, 3 or 4 kids in the mix, and suddenly you have no time.
Or if you're trying to bring children into the mix, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So
possibly.
But I see this thing, and I'm like, okay, this is great, but this is also, very much assuming, oh my God, I'm going to give you nightmares, Mike, right now. Look at that. Look at that. So.
Gonna do that? Well, I got a belly full of
hot ramen.
Freaking hot lava.
All right. I'm going to make it all better, Mike. I'm going to make it all better right now. Here's dogs. That is the cutest thing in the world. So, anyway.
Yeah, speaking of ads, I'll just say of recent ads, no ads that can compete with Walter the Cat. Those are some great advertisements.
See, the thing is, I don't watch TV. So I don't see any ads.
Oh, watch Walter the Cat. It's yeah.
So I just
I don't watch ads either, but I found about Walter the Cat like months after the ad started running, and those are some great ads. I would like to get to the daylight savings time article.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was. I think didn't it get squished today? There was a resolution or a bill introduced to keep daylight savings permanent, at least for the next year.
Starting next year. So
I thought it was for 2022 into 2023.
No, so in the fall it would still
the house
fall back again, but then the fall after that it wouldn't in that bill. So the House did something with it?
Okay. Well, the headline is U.S. House stops the clock on making daylight savings time permanent, and that was today.
Interesting.
So the Senate approved it. The House is trying to. They're discussing it more, I think.
Well, the funny part is how it actually got through the Senate. Did you guys see that?
Was it attached to another bill that gave them raises? Because that usually works.
So the way it usually works in the Senate is you have to go through committees, and there's a whole bunch of steps that you have to go through before a bill can finally get voted on. And that's usually how they just make things not happen. But there's this way that you can go and just say, hey, I want to do this bill. Can I get everybody to just agree on it? So anytime, anybody, any senator at any time can just go and say, hey, I want to get universal, okay to do this. And sometimes people do that for bills. That's how they get on C-SPAN and the news. Is they say, hey, can I get this thing? And they go and give a huge speech about it. And then just one senator has to say no. And then it's gone. And it has to go through all their other steps. You never hear about it again. Well, what happened this time was they put the bill up there for hey, can we just agree to do this? The senator who was supposed to be the one who agreed to go and say no was busy working on Ukraine stuff. And he decided he didn't care, so he decided not to show up. Staffers for other senators who may have said no saw the thing coming through and said, well, that's stupid. That's not going to go through. I'm not even going to bother the senator on that piece of crap. And so nobody said no. The bill was passed by the Senate because nobody cared. And that's the hilarious thing. We got a law passed by the Senate just because nobody
gave a darn.
Paid attention.
I'm good with that. We should have more things passed that way.
So I'm reading through some of the articles real quick as I'm skimming through, and they're saying that if this happens nationwide, ironically, Marco Rubio from Florida, there goes all your kudos, Florida, where the Sunshine State wants more sunshine all year. But what they're saying is the West Coast, if this happens all year long, it's going to be dark until 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, they said that they say that it will increase traffic accidents at children bus stops because it will be
supposedly that's what happened in the 70s, and I say that's ridiculous because if it's anything like Jersey, there's a bus stop on every other street corner, so kids don't have to cross a friggin' street to get to their bus stop anymore.
Well, I'm just saying we need less kids, so it's okay. I'm all right with that. If they can't move fast enough out of the way, then I'm all right. I'm cool.
Well, and that was one answer in one of the New Jersey pages. Somebody comments well, teach your kids how to walk across the friggin' street. And that's another thing, right? Kids and adults alike seem to think that the law is written that drivers must yield to pedestrians crossing the street at a crosswalk. You must yield. It doesn't say anything for the jackass who decides to step off in the middle of the sidewalk in the middle of the road
and jaywalk
to cross and jaywalk. No. So kids just think, oh, well, if I'm crossing the street, you have to yield to me. That's the law. No, it's not. Your parents are stupid. They're not teaching you right.
Okay, technically it is true. I mean, if you see someone walking in the middle of the street and you decide to run them over, then you're going to jail for 20 years for murder.
Well,
and also that is a purely United States outlook.
What? That we have too many children?
Jaywalking.
Oh,
jaywalking only exists in the U.S. because as far so back in the UK, as far as they're concerned, the pedestrians were there first. So they have right-of-way at all times on roads because they were walking on the roads before cars existed.
Okay, so according to that, I was there before these kids, so they should respect my driving.
Well, yeah. Where's my horse and buggy? I should be able to do whatever I want. Horses were here before cars were.
By all means, I'm not saying I'm not going to try and stop. I'm not saying this is Grand Theft Auto, and if you step off, I have the legal right to hit you. What I'm saying is I have to make a reasonable attempt to not hit a pedestrian that steps off not in a crosswalk. In a crosswalk, I am legally required to yield.
By the way, who the hell's Jay? And why was he wandering out in the middle of the street anyway?
Jay was actually the younger brother of John, whose offense was so bad that we don't even talk about it, but they named toilets after him.
Well, his name was John Crapper. Let's get it out there completely. So,
right, so it's a very bad family that we don't like. I think they were British.
Yes, most definitely were British. It was Sir John Crapper.
Okay, so all right, that's the segue. We're going to talk about this Britishness.
Well, let me just explain one thing there, Mike, just because I happen to know the answer. The yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk rule is that if a pedestrian is in the crosswalk, then across the entire road, everybody is supposed to yield. So you are not allowed to go through the crosswalk while anybody is in the crosswalk across the entire width of the road.
Okay.
Now, that is that particular rule. You still have to actually yield to, if someone is standing in the middle of the road, jaywalking, and they're in the lane and you're coming towards them, you have to yield to the pedestrian. That's a separate thing. But if you have someone jaywalking and they're not in your lane, you're free to just continue down your lane and not stop for them because that's not a crosswalk.
Okay, so that's kind of the point, that they come halfway across and then they're standing there in the middle of the road as a courtesy, will I stop? If I can without getting rear-ended by somebody else, yeah. But the general consensus is, once I'm in the road, everybody has to stop. So
yeah, that's not true. Only in a crosswalk. Yep.
Okay. All right, let's talk about some wokeness, because I know that's Colin's favorite topic.
Yeah, Colin is always telling us, hey, listen, I'm as woke as F. And I can't deal with your non-wokeness. So woke up, people. And we're like, hey, slow the woke. And
I'm just like, listen, there is nobody more woke than Hugh Grant.
And I'm thinking, boy, he aged hard.
Yeah.
You know, he is.
Did, well, being with a transvestite hooker will do that to you.
It can.
But all right, so I caught something on Twitter today. Hugh Grant was trending. And anytime I see a celebrity's name trending, I got to click on it for two reasons. One, I still update the database for the death pool. And if a celebrity dies, I add them to the database.
Well, and we got to think about
two,
who was caught in a bathroom with who. That happens sometimes.
It turns out he was trending because people are saying they want him to be the next Doctor Who.
Well,
and
not just that people want him, but evidently he was in talks to become the next Doctor Who. So it's beyond interest. It is what you've been talking about, Willis.
And the articles also said that they're trying to... Now, I remember them referring to the Whoverse, because you had Torchwood, you had the Torchwood sagas,
the Sarah Jane Chronicles.
The Sarah Jane Chronicles. So they tried to make that, but now they're going to expand, and Russell Davies wants to make this much more like the Marvel universe.
Well, and for those of the uninitiated, so Russell Davies was the one who was responsible for bringing Doctor Who kind of back to the big screen, back to worldwide attention after it slumbered for a number of years. You know, he was the one who brought in Tom Eccleston to become the Doctor.
Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston.
Christopher, thank you.
To bring the Doctor into today's times, and just completely reinvented him for, at the time, the early 2000s, and kind of just bring him up into modern times, bring him into the discussion that was happening, make it a popular franchise again, and now it's one of those golden properties of the BBC. So, which they're losing a lot of those properties, or they're having to spin them off or sell them off in order to stay afloat. But after his departure, it has been declining, and especially under the current administration. I'll tell you what, I haven't watched the latest series of it. I haven't watched the latest season of it.
So when did he leave? He left after Smith?
No, Tennant.
He left after Tennant.
Okay, so he was. So the new regime was.
Yeah, then Moffat, and then after.
Okay, so Moffat was for Smith, Capaldi, and Whittaker.
No, Smith and Capaldi, and then Whittaker brought in a new showrunner.
No, yes.
Okay.
Well, a new showrunner brought in Whittaker.
Yeah, a new showrunner brought in Whittaker. They came at the same time, and really since that time, you want to talk about wokeness? It's a wokeness overload in the series, as far as I'm concerned. Because you could. That first series with her, you could draw direct parallels to the Trump administration. There was no jump to conclusion. There was a Trump character in the story arc,
which was
in several episodes.
Chris Noth, which is hilarious because now he's been Me Too'd. So,
but
I can redo those now.
But and that kind of spelled the death of the franchise. You know, and it's gone from bad to worse. So now they're bringing back, you know, the OG to resurrect the series, or to try and resurrect the series and bring it back to its former glory.
They almost canceled it.
So
this brought me to part of my statement that I had read that they were going to bring Tennant back, who for the modern area, like Eccleston he signed on for a specific run. He knew, I'm only going to do 2 seasons. That's it.
It was only
ahead of
one
time.
season, and that's not actually what happened.
He was afraid of being typecast into the Doctor. He admits that on several interviews, that he knows what happens to actors who play that role, and he had fun with it, but he wanted to get out before he was locked into that, because he had done things like Gone in 60 Seconds and other roles, and he did not want to be pigeonholed into the good guy.
So that's a story that he told. The truth is, and there's more current reporting on that. But basically, things were not all rosy for him. He was not happy with stuff, and that's the reason why to this day he's refused to do any other Doctor Who stuff, because there's still a lot of bad blood between him and the BBC.
Okay.
Anyway, that's beside the point.
Tennant was arguably, at least in my opinion, the most popular Doctor.
I think
the new reboot.
There's a huge
of the new era.
There's a huge divide about whether Tennant or Smith or Matt is the best, right? Because and it mainly depends on your demographic, right? Your age range.
And
this is true.
And age. What's always true about all the Doctors is that your favorite Doctor has a lot to do with how old you were at the time of that particular Doctor.
And so Capaldi didn't have a huge following. He had a good following. I think a lot of Tennant's followers enjoyed him. But like I did, I enjoyed a lot of his monologues and things like that. I enjoyed kind of his story arc, but you didn't see that same transfer over to Whittaker. And they just messed up her storylines a lot.
Whittaker was very, very polarizing.
It was very polarizing.
Right?
And it didn't help. I think a different showrunner with Whittaker could have had a very good Doctor Who. But the combination of Chibnall, who writes scripts with lots of tell instead of show, and just, you get to a place where, here's the place where Whittaker's Doctor reads the entire what's going on from the screen, and then that's the end of the episode. Like I said, so let me explain real quick my wokeness problem, because what I said is this whole thing where usually a politician will say, we need to do something to say that we don't have this thing that has any kind of moral thing on it whatsoever. And someone else says, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's not good." And I say, then they just brand them as being woke, and it has become this catch-all way that a conservative can shut down anything that the other side says as being bad. It just, that's woke, and so that's so that goes everything from something that we can all agree is bad to things which are pretty terrible, and it's become this blanket wham hammer just to say, well, that's woke, and so therefore I'm not going to listen to it. You know, I think it's bad to have sex with minors. Well, that's just woke. That's the level of things that have become this banhammer of woke. It feels like, you know, it is polarized everything to one side thinks the other side is evil and aligned with the devil, and the other side sees them and says you're a Nazi, and now there's nowhere to be in the middle. So anyway, that's my woke problem. You know, I'm not going to go into the different things people think are and aren't woke. That's why I was trying to go as deep as I could into wackiness. But anyway, that's my woke problem. But what I said is, that being said, these last couple seasons of Doctor Who were so woke that someone complaining about Hugh Grant being woke is like saying you just got out of the ocean but you don't want to take a shower because you don't want to get wet.
Yeah. So my whole issue here, and honestly, I haven't watched. I probably watched the first season with Whittaker, and I fell out after that. My whole big issue is I felt like Whittaker was overcoming being the first female Doctor, a new showrunner, and having way too many companions.
Yeah.
It was always one or two. At first, they had 4. Right?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Husband, wife. Too many. All right? The Doctor is not supposed to have a crew. I also got very upset when the Impossible Girl with Matt Smith, was it Matt Smith? Or was it with Peter Capaldi?
It was both, actually.
It's Capaldi.
Okay. I got upset when she left. And I thought for sure, like, if they're going to do a whole expanded Doctor Who universe, a Whoverse, and this was the other part of my point. The other part of my point was Marvel, and to a smaller extent on the small screen, DC with the Arrowverse, that kind of laid the groundwork, laid the template for how your shows need to interact, how they all connect together. The Arrowverse did it with their annual crossover events and kind of staying true to the stories that way. Marvel, characters in different appearing in other characters' movies, having them all together at an occasion, having the TV shows that tied into, even though now they may not tie into, but they did at the time, tie into the universe. You have all of these different facets of your universe going at one time. And if they tried to do that, if they did a spin-off where they brought Impossible Girl and Arya from Game of Thrones, what's her name? Maisie Williams?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it her and because they went off in the diner that was now a TARDIS. If they came back and they did their show, even if it was a limited run as part of the Whoverse. If they brought Torchwood back as part, although I don't know if that's going to happen because isn't Captain Harkness one of those Me Too now too or something? Or is he?
He's somewhat weathered it.
Right. So if they start bringing in that type of architecture, maybe I'll get excited about it again. But I just lost interest, and I felt bad because I didn't want anybody to think, oh, well, you used to love Doctor Who. What happened? Well, listen, I started falling out of it with Capaldi. Capaldi did not appeal to me, but I stuck it out. When Whittaker came on, I didn't want people thinking, oh, well, you stopped watching because it's a woman. I'm like, no, I stopped watching because it sucks.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Yeah. If they continue Doctor Who with a woman, with a new showrunner, I'd be okay with that because I think Russell Davies is going to take. Now the thing is, and this is the whole Marvel thing. I think this was like shorthand for the press to be able to say what they think is going to happen, but this is just Russell Davies doing what he did in the first place with Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures. I don't know. You two probably aren't familiar with it, but there is a huge industry of Doctor Who audio productions.
Yeah.
That is also being done, and for the most part, are supposed to be considered themselves canon. And they fill in. They have tons and tons of like the War Doctor and the was it the Fifth Doctor, the one that was only in the movie.
Yeah.
They filled in lots of there, and my assumption is that Russell Davies would want to better integrate that to make that fully part of the overall stories going on in the main series. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's something that they were doing in the past and has been lost. For those for U.S. People who don't know this, BBC is losing their revenue source next couple of years. So up to now, basically everybody who has a TV or has a device you can watch TV on has had to pay a tax, and that tax went to fund the BBC. Well, that tax has been eliminated in a couple years. I forget exactly which year it's going to end. But after that, BBC has to figure out some other way to fund themselves. Maybe part of that's going to be a Doctor Who streaming service of, like we've been saying, like Marvel, like Disney's been filling up Marvel with all kinds of stuff. You got the date there, Shaggy?
So it's I was going to say it's going to end in 2027.
2027.
Yep.
So they got to figure out how to pay for stuff, and part of how they may need to pay for stuff is getting more Doctor Who things put onto streaming services in the U.S. to fund their TV back in the UK.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those things that's going to happen. So before we get into the double feature movie review, I do want to talk about this one quick note, because we are talking about streaming services here in this break and in general with the double feature movie review. So there was a question that was made out to Business Insider, and this is back from last year, but it was a question of, okay, if you could keep only one streaming service, okay, only one streaming service, which would it be? What would be the one streaming service you would maintain if you could only keep one? So I'll ask the group here. I think we're probably going to be fairly consistent on this, but I'll ask Mike first. Mike, which one would you pick?
Well, I'm thinking about this a little too logically, I think. But I'd have to keep Prime, because Prime Video is included with the shipping. So the perk of having Prime Video is it's like the cart leading the horse here.
Let's separate it from Prime shipping. Let's say that was just a separate fee.
Okay.
I would
so
let's say we're not including like YouTube TV.
You're right. Yeah, we're not including television
services.
So we're just including rebroadcast original television or original content channels.
I'm probably going to go with Netflix just because they have the largest library. It's a close tie. It's a close tie because a lot of the older stuff that I like is on HBO Max. So that's a tough one. I would have jumped at Netflix is my first. Yeah, Netflix was my first reaction, but as I start to think about the actual content that's available, I don't know. Most of my streaming, most of the stuff I watch is on HBO Max.
Yep. Colin, how about you?
Okay, so mine's going to be somewhat controversial, but it's going to be the one where I technically stream most of my content from. So it's going to be the Usenet.
You say BritBox, I'm sorry.
All right. What? So other than downloading content, how about actual streaming providers?
No, I'll probably stick with Netflix just for
Netflix.
Just for nostalgia.
It's kind of like I think Netflix kind of has the Kleenex thing right? So Netflix and chill. You don't say, hey, you want to come over and Hulu and chill. Netflix has become synonymous with sex at this point. So, that's pretty powerful in their side. And that corresponds to the survey. 41% of respondents said they'd keep Netflix as their primary streaming source, which I completely agree with. I'm the same way. I think Netflix has the primary, source of everything that I want to watch at least once. And their content's changing a lot. Now, with that said, with Paramount Plus coming into play, Peacock, and some of these other, and HBO, coming out with original content, and Disney Plus coming out with original content now, or unique content that's not sub-licensed to anybody. It's kind of starting to change the landscape of things a little bit. But according to this survey, like I said, 41% Netflix, 21% said Hulu, which I'm not really a big Hulu person. I have it. I don't use it. It's just included with my Spotify account. HBO Max, Mike, you said that's 13%. So that's number 3 on their list. Disney Plus, 9%. Prime Video, 6%. Paramount Plus, 2%. Discovery Plus, 1%, which I actually just dropped Discovery Plus. I'm like, listen, I'm not watching it. I'm just paying money every month for having this as an option. I don't need to. Peacock, 1%. Apple TV Plus, 1%. And then other as 3%. And then none of the above, actually 3%. So,
well, here's the thing. So let me, because one thing you just said there gave me something to talk about. So, first off, Hulu is definitely my second. I use Hulu a lot as I didn't watch that yesterday, and I want to watch it today without having to worry about fast forwarding through commercials. So Hulu usually will have everything that Fox and ABC and NBC had before, and then Paramount Plus is my third because that fills in the CBS shows I want to watch that I don't want to watch with commercials. But here's the thing, Discovery Plus. I had a 1-year subscription to Discovery Plus on a discount. And I got it last year because that's what I wanted to watch BattleBots on. So this year, BattleBots is starting back up again, and Discovery Plus, that 1-year subscription expired on Discovery Plus. So I had to turn back on again because, again, I'm going to watch BattleBots, and I want to watch them. I like watching BattleBots for lunch the day that it comes out before it even shows on actual TV. But here's the thing. That's a month-to-month subscription now.
yeah.
There is no 1-year discounted way to get Discovery Plus. So as soon as BattleBots ends, I'm canceling that subscription. I'm not going to keep it going.
Well, and that's like I canceled Fubo, right? And because we've got Comcast working now in the house, and they're like, well, you can put it on pause for 6 months and we won't bill you, and then you can pick back up. And I'm like, no, I don't even want to do that. I just want to cancel. And they're like, well, do you want to cancel because you're planning on picking us back up again once your sports teams start back up? And I'm like, all right, I guess some people probably do that where they just drop packages until their sports season starts back up again. I'm like, I guess that's something I would do if I was into that kind of thing, but it's not me. And I can see probably people doing the same thing for like HBO Max and stuff like that. Hey, Game of Thrones is back. All right, I'm going to flick on HBO Max for a while. I'll binge everything and then I'll turn it back off again. So it's, I guess it is one of those things. Or Disney Plus, same thing. It's, hey, Mandalorian's back on. All right, great. I'm going to throw it on for a month. I'm going to binge everything, and I'm going to turn it back off. So it's not going to be – and I think some of the streaming channels have gotten wise to that, which is why they're not doing bulk releases. They're doing these weekly releases now again, because they know people want to watch the hot show, and so they're going to drag it out a little bit. But, then there'll be people like me who could say, you know what, I don't care if I watch it on time. I'm going to binge the damn thing. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'll just wait till it's all said and over and done with, and then I'll turn it on for a month. I'll turn it back off again if that's really what I want to do. So, yeah, I've just been going through kind of all these different streaming services and going, you know what, I don't need it. I don't want it. If I need it for a certain thing, I'll turn it back on for a month and I'll turn it off. So.
And Colin, it's interesting that you say Discovery or Shaggy. I'm sorry. Well, you guys get rid of Discovery Plus. One thing worth noting is Discovery Plus may cease to exist.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, well, because of the merger between Discovery and Warner Media.
Right.
There's discussion about whether or not they're going to keep HBO Max and Discovery Plus as separate apps and bundle them the way Disney does with Hulu and ESPN, or will they merge them into a single app? So it's possible that could combine. It's almost like the Independent endorsing one of the higher candidates to compete with Netflix.
Well, they should do that, but they should really, really consider changing the name at the same time.
Yeah.
Why call it HBO Max? It's Warner Brothers. Why not stick the name Warner Brothers on the front so that everybody knows what this is?
Call it Warner Plus like Paramount did. So.
Well, that's why Paramount, they had CBS. They said, you know what? We're Paramount. We should stick our name on it. Disney Plus. They didn't. Peacock. They could have called themselves Universal, but I think that's too confusing. So I can see where Peacock came from. At least that's something that makes sense. But
yeah.
I don't know. HBO Max just sounds way too much closer to HBO itself. And it's just like it's hard for people to care. Anyway. We're already 10 minutes into our movie review time slot. I don't think that's going to matter. But.
So, we do this little thing every time we do a show, which is called our double feature movie review, where we pick two movies. Normally we pick them at random, but at this point, as we said, those streaming services are coming out with unique content. So we decided that we're going to pick something which is topical and new, and maybe you want to tune into it and find out. And, and then we're going to pick something random from our suggestion list of things that we should watch. And we're going to tell you whether it's worth watching or not. So this week, we have Honesty Weekend and The Adam Project. Honesty Weekend available on Amazon Prime right now. The Adam Project, of course, available on Netflix. I think we should do Honesty Weekend first. Don't you guys? All right. So, Colin. Where'd my button go? Damn it. So Colin, let's start off with you and go with Honesty Weekend.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say you don't really need to do that. I didn't finish this movie.
You didn't finish?
I ran out. No, I ran out of time. I tried to watch it, and then I realized this movie has absolutely no meaning whatsoever for me. It's a movie about married people being honest with each other and the weekend, and I'm like, I'm not in a relationship with anybody. Never really been in much of a relationship. I don't know. I kind of forgot about watching the movie, and then by the time I needed to watch the movie, it was too late anyway. And then I decided anyway, this movie is just not for me. Even if I'd finished the entire movie, I would have written it off as a meh and said it has absolutely no meaning to me whatsoever. And so I just didn't bother finishing it. I watched the end of it just to see if anything cool happened, and the ending didn't tell me that I needed to watch the rest of it.
Well, can't we say that you don't have anybody yet, though? I mean, really, can we leave a little hope? A little,
Jay, that's your dream, Shaggy, of trying to get me set up as a show bit, and that is just not going to happen.
It's not a show bit.
No,
I just want to see you happy. I just want to see you as happy as Mike and I.
What makes you think he's not?
I want to see you as in wedded bliss like the both of us are. All right? Don't you know, that it's great. That, everything is wonderful. And that, you need to be that way. That's right. You You gotta be happy.
A child in me, because what happened when you see a Serenity Now button at the dollar store? What do? You buy it. Why? Because you can.
Well, yeah. All right, Mike, you're up next. Honesty Weekend.
Okay. So let me be clear about one thing right off the bat. If I was with someone and after getting high, they decided to start getting all emotional and ripping into me, I would be drowning myself in that effing pool straight away. Nerd swagger. They talk about one of the guys has nerd swagger. If that was a thing, I'm pretty sure that we three gents would be would have been the most popular kids in high school. And of course, the pretty boys into borderline psycho chick. And I can say chicks because though I don't want anybody woke coming after me. I could say those kind of borderline psycho chicks because those kinds of females are not women yet. They are emotionally immature, therefore they are emotionally younger, therefore they are chicks. Now I got to ask, was there actually a script for this movie? Because this kind of seems like it was one giant improv session that they kind of just started with bullet points and did the scenes based off of those. If there was a script, I will say these actors actually kind of make these conversations seem pretty organic, if you will. So I'll give them that. And the more I get through this movie, the more I'm starting to feel like this is almost like PTR the movie. Like, seriously, it's turning into a movie about a group of friends just hanging out. Forget the honesty part, because it... Is it wrong that I'm looking at this Delaney chick and she's talking and she's got that lump on right by her lip and I'm wondering, is that a beauty mark or is that a cold sore? What is that? Is that why they broke up with you? Now then I got... You know what? I'm not even going to go into the 3 issues I have with this segment where everybody starts having sex because it is... Okay, no, I am. The first issue, this one guy is sitting there in the room next to his wife. His wife is in bed, and he's in the other room greasing Weezer. I got a problem with this. Second one, she just shoves her finger right up the butt. I got a problem with that. And the third, the lesbian decides that she's going to be not lesbian for the night and hook up with the player because she's feeling bad about it. There's a scene where the 2 dudes are sleeping in the same bed, and this is exactly why dudes don't share a bed. You can call it a homosexual fear or whatever, but no. And now the lesbian's making out with the mom. Wasn't that in an episode of 2.5 Men? Guys are sitting in the backyard playing cornhole while they're talking, and the first thing I think of is where did they get the kids set up? Because those boards are way too small to be regulation cornhole boards. Look, Future Nikes, this was, well, look, it was annoying at times, but it was also kind of fun. I mean, this was almost like Hot Tub Time Machine without time travel and without a hot tub. So I'm going to give this one a smirk.
Okay. All right, my turn. So I took Mike the 8-Man style notes, just like what he just did. Videotaping therapy. That's a problem. All right. Smokes pot as passenger in a car. This is not a Cheech and Chong movie. He seems to have that kind of vibe. Put Amazon boxes in neighbors' trash. This is a freaking great idea. I am stealing this so hard. Spank the lesbian with a hanger, and she likes it. Now we're getting to my kind of movie. Vegetarian. I got to remember this. This is so good. There is way too much man-ass in this movie. Way too much. This reminds me of, what was it, Fool's Gold? Where we saw, I think it was Matthew McConaughey in his tighty whities way too much. Or something. Lorraine frickin' Pascal. I knew her from somewhere, is Nate's girlfriend. WTF. Now I have more respect for the baking shows. I had no idea. His mother is making out with the lesbian best friend. Of course. Lorraine is married? What? No. And then talking about a buddy's wife and speed bagging her sweater puppies. Okay. That's awesome. That's a way to make him feel better about his wife. All right. I am giving this a smile. It is a completely, utterly nonsensical movie with constant flashbacks, flash forwards, real time, etc. It doesn't make a lick of sense. I'd never want any female to watch this movie, but I'm giving it a smile because it made me laugh at points and it was ridiculous. So, and Mike was right. It's exactly like a PTR Radio weekend would be. So that's what I'm giving it. Okay, moving on. The Adam Project. And this one is going to cause us a bit of a problem. As Colin would say, this is a real movie. All right? So, I don't know whether we'll stick strictly to the puke to Schneike scale or whether we'll adjust a little bit. I'll just tell people ahead of time, this is a real freaking movie. It's got Ryan freaking Reynolds in it, folks. All right? I think I can speak for all of us and say he's our pass. All right? So, Colin, we'll start back off with you. Go ahead.
Okay. So, The Adam Project stars Ryan Reynolds as... Well, he's starring as Ryan Reynolds. I mean, Ryan Reynolds just kind of plays Ryan Reynolds. So... But we'll go ahead and call him Adam. So Adam, this movie is a time travel movie where we're kind of starting in the middle of the time travel segment. Okay, so sometimes with time travel movies, you start with the way things should have been. You know, Michael J. Fox's Marty's family is kind of messed up. He partially burned down the house. Everybody has terrible jobs, etc., etc. And then things progress. He goes back in time. He changes things, and we come back, and everything's hunky-dory because time has changed, and now his family is all great. So we're kind of in the middle of Back to the Future Part 2 with the Adam Project. So things have gone bad. Biff has gone back in time. They even reference Biff. This is not me coming up with stuff. So yeah, we're in the middle of Back to the Future Part 2, and now they're trying to put things back together and keep the time travel from happening at all. So Ryan Reynolds goes back in time. They found a kid who can keep up with Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds. So now you have a I don't know how old the kid really is, but I think he's supposed to be 12 in the story, I think. So anyway, you have a 12-year-old acting boy here pretending to be Ryan Reynolds, acting against Ryan Reynolds. If that sounds like a good time, then you can stop listening to us. Just go watch the Adam Project because that's what it is. But yeah, beyond that, Ryan Reynolds Sr. has lost his wife and is trying to keep her from being killed. The father of Ryan Reynolds is the guy who invented time travel and then died in a completely unrelated accident. I tell you that because I was a little bit distracted thinking that the accident was going to end up having something to do with the plot. It had nothing to do with the plot. It just is something that happened outside of the plot. So just telling you that so you don't get distracted yourself when you watch this movie. And I will say, without being too spoilerific, what happened with that, I am very happy with what happened with that. I think there's a lot of meaning to this movie that would have been lost if they'd gone a different way. If you're someone who's lost a parent and has had any trouble with that, this might be the movie for you too, because I think they cover that pretty well too. Someone who's never lost a parent. I'm going to give this movie the SEG because I liked it a lot, but it's definitely no Schneikes.
All right. Mike, you're up next.
Okay, so I didn't take a ton of notes on this movie. This was one of those films that from the jump, I just actually found myself watching, getting into it, and enjoying it. I know we said we were going to rate these on a different scale, or we were toying around with that idea. So I'm not sure how I'm actually going to rate this one. If we're going to stick to the same scale, I'm going to give this one. I think I'm also going to give this one SEG. If we're going with just an old school star rating for movies, I would have given this like 4.5 out of 5 because of the entertainment value. I got to say the chemistry between the characters of young Adam and old Adam was amazing. It was on par with the chemistry that Ryan Reynolds had with The Rock in what was it, Red Notice?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one?
Yes.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed their chemistry. I was a little odd. It's very odd when I say that Mark Ruffalo was kind of the odd man out in this one because I respect him as an actor, but I feel like maybe there could have been a better person to play. I don't know. But I also like the fact that they didn't take time travel too seriously. Like, you can't occupy the same space as yourself. You can't touch yourself, your past self, because that creates a paradox. And I guess it's really about it. I mean, it's a movie I would probably watch again. But that being said, it's not exactly my most favorite recent Ryan Reynolds movie. And I'll leave it at that because I'm not sure what movie we're doing as one half of next show.
All right. So if Elektra and the Hulk had a baby, it would be Deadpool, and when it grew up, it would fall in love with Gamora? Is that how this works? I'm not exactly
You son
sure.
of a bitch, I never thought about that one. Okay.
But I guess that's how this works. All right. No, complete MCU aside, first of all, I got really confused during this movie. All right, and not for the reasons you might expect, which is time travel, interacting with yourself, and No, I got really confused with Zoe Saldana. All right, because I thought she was someone else. All right, I thought that she was Leslie Ann Brandt from Lucifer. All right, because, and it's not the typical all black women look alike. All right, but they both kick ass the same. Okay, and they do kind of look alike. All right, so you'll excuse me for confusing the two of them. All right, so that does change things a little bit. All right, mostly because I've been watching Lucifer lately, and so I kind of really am infatuated with that character. But regardless, this movie, like Colin said, it was Ryan Reynolds interacting with little Ryan Reynolds. All right, and I saw a Kraft macaroni and cheese commercial with little Ryan Reynolds that was funny as hell because he was playing little Ryan Reynolds. And he goes, "This mac and cheese is effing good." And of course they bleeped it out. And he goes, and so they go cut, and then they go, "Okay, let's try this again." And he goes, this is so they go, let's try this again. And he goes, this is the best mac and cheese I ever had. They go, cut, and then Ryan Reynolds comes in off camera and he goes, I'm sorry, he's been playing me in the Adam Project, and I think I rubbed off a little bit too much. He goes, let me have a talk with him. And he goes, listen, you little bastard, get your ass together and get this commercial made for Kraft. So these two play so well off of each other in this movie and in the associated advertisements. It is hilarious because you could see little Ryan Reynolds. And so the dynamic between these two is absolutely amazing. And, you know, again, like Mike said, they don't get caught up in the intricacies of time travel. You don't have that discussion you had in Avengers Endgame of the, you know, of the rules of time travel, and it's not to the Back to the Future rules, it's something else. And, you know, I love when Ryan Reynolds' character says, well, the best we can figure it, when I get back, they'll just reconcile. That's a perfect explanation of, hey, we don't know. It just happens because it happens, and we don't know any different. Because that's honestly kind of how it would work. Is you wouldn't know any different. It would just poof and there. You know, so yes, there's some issues with the movie here and there, but overall, it's a great movie just to have a little bit of fun with. It's Ryan Reynolds being funny, but not overly funny. So there's some emotional context to this show. So yeah, if you're looking for a laugh a minute, you're not going to find it here, but there is some definite fun parts of the movie. And there's some, you know, there's some sad parts of the movie too. So I think that if you want to watch a good Ryan Reynolds movie where you see a range of kind of emotions, this is a good one to watch. And you know, you're not going to be upset that you wasted an hour and a half, 2 hours on it. So I'll give this one the same thing, an SEG, and boom, there you go, 3 across the board. It's easy like that.
I just want to say the CG on the not really bad guy, the woman who is the bad person in this movie. The CG they have
Catherine
on her,
Keener.
the CG they do with her is some of the best CG I've seen.
Yeah,
They
Because
apparently hired the guy that fixed Skywalker in The Mandalorian.
Nice.
they did a good job.
Because she plays herself and youngs herself, and that's
Yes.
usually historically been crap. But I didn't even notice until I looked at it later.
The first time I remember seeing that was in Tron Legacy, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But
Tron Legacy got away
anybody who
with it.
follows me on
It was supposed to be a pure character in the first place. But
anybody who follows me on Instagram sees I've been using Reface quite a bit, and those get pretty well, and those do pretty well. It's just an app, so the technology is there if they take the time to do it. And I kept trying to think about where I knew her from. 40-year-old virgin.
Ah, yeah.
That's where I knew her from.
All right, so Mike, what do we got? Because I don't know that
All
we
right,
have
so
any
we
real
have
new movies that we got to spike the list with.
Well, I went back and looked to make sure that I wasn't forgetting something. We didn't review Free Guy.
We didn't.
we talked about Free Guy last time, but I don't think we did a full review.
Well, yeah, we did discuss it. So I don't know if we want to officially review it or if there's another one that we may want to look at.
I mean, honestly, I'm okay watching it again, but I think if given the choice, maybe we pick a different one. But that's up to you guys.
All right.
I mean, we can go ahead and just give it an official review, but I don't think we need to give it a full review. I mean, we'll give it a score.
But all right, so, I think I'm going to start adding year released to the spreadsheet, so that then we can order them a little bit easier if we need to.
All right, so just looking on the list here, the suggestion sheet. There are two that stand out that I believe are Netflix originals, and I think we can pick one or the other.
Okay.
The first one, actually, no, that one is not a Netflix original. I know that. So the one I'm thinking is Gunpowder Milkshake. That is the most recent one. It
Didn't
looks
we
like
also
that was
have one
added.
called like The Power Project, which is a Netflix original too?
That is not on the list. Oh, Project Power.
Project Power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with either one.
I've really been wanting to watch Gunpowder Milkshake, and I've been holding off. So.
Okay, so Gunpowder Milkshake it is. And then let's
All
pick
right,
one
let me-
random one,
let me
just for
copy
the
that
hell of it.
over. Copy that over. Hold on. All right, so what we got? We got one. Well, somebody's been adding some stuff here.
Yep.
1 to 53.
27.
7. What the shit is this?
I love those reactions.
Hawk and Rev, Vampire Slayers on Amazon.
Oh, this sounds great.
This sounds like, okay, customers who watch this also watch Nether Beast Incorporated.
Oh, sweet. Well, that sounds great.
I think this one's been on the list for a long time.
Philip Hawk Hawkins doesn't just dream about killing vampires. He eats, sleeps, drinks, and freaking breathes it. After getting kicked out of the army for stalking a fellow soldier with a blunt 2x4, Hawk almost dies of boredom working as a night security guard in his hometown of Santa Marita, California. Just when it looks like all of Hawk's options in life have expired, filthy, blood-sucking vampires appear, and of course, nobody freaking believes him. Yes.
How do you know it's going to be one of those movies? When it says director Ryan Barton Grimley, starring Ryan Barton Grimley.
Writer Brian Barton Grimley. And what has Ryan Barton Grimley ever done? Hawk and Rev, listen carefully. Eliza's Ashes and Reparations. Yeah,
it's pretty bad when there's 3 different versions of Elijah's Ashes on, and I don't know what the difference between. Anyway, so okay,
right. This ought to be cool. This ought to be
Okay,
awesome.
here's his IMDb description.
Uh-huh.
Ryan Barton Grimley, or RBG as his colleagues refer to him. Okay.
He was born in Zimbabwe. For the uninitiated, that's in Africa. Oh.
Yeah, Africa. Anyway. We're still reading what's on there. That's not us coming up with anyway.
Oh, boy. This is going to be cool. I like it already. It's going to be horrendous. Okay. Oh, it's got such cheesy 80s visual effects, but yet it was made in like 2000. I'm in. I'm totally in. All right. Cool. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, being part of the show, and, watching us kill ourselves at the beginning of the show. It's always a good time when we get to embarrass ourselves and, have a little bit of fun with everybody in the meantime. So don't forget, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers, because otherwise we did all this for nothing. And we don't want to do something for nothing. We want our money for nothing and our chicks for free. No, we want subscribers for free. So make sure that you stop by the website, ptrradio.com. Check out all the ways that you can subscribe. You can check out at PTR Radio on your social media channels, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that fun stuff. You can just look for PTR Radio. Found out there is another Instagram user for PTR Radio. If you look at one PTR Radio, that's not us. You have to look at PTR Radio. That's us. So, I know I worked on getting us at least one more subscriber in the last week. Listeners, what have you done? So, make sure that you tune in 2 weeks. We'll be back in a couple weeks here. That makes us on the 4th. And that will be the show before my big trivia night rebound. That's right. I will be in Buffalo on the 9th. So if you, or actually on the 8th. On the 8th. So if you're interested in 10 rounds of trivia where you could win cash and prizes, make sure that you come on out to Buffalo, Illinois. So, but we will be back on the 4th. As always, we will do our double feature movie review, and we will try not to kill ourselves. And we'll give you a report on how things literally ended up. So, with that said, there's not much more for this show. I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I'm Mike the Ape Man.
Stick a fork and a hot pepper in us, folks. We are done. Later.